Blog Talk Radio. Today is Wednesday, April 26, 2017, and this is Foxology. I am Silver Ray Fox, your host. Happy Wednesday, phenomenal people. I hope you enjoy that intro as much as I do. It is just so fun to me to listen to that. I had a friend of mine, Germano Toussaint, put that little together for me to start my show, and I just always see myself doing this foxy walk. It's called You Foxy Thing, and I just kind of see myself doing this little strut. It really gets me going for the show, but maybe you didn't want to know that, but I just thought I'd share anyway. I hope you are out of the gates. I pray that your day is full of blessings and expectations of them, too. You know, make it your must to attract good, but doing good and thinking good thoughts. It's amazing to see how that works and how you really cause some good things, great things, awesome things to work out for you. Yeah, it really works. I'm telling you, I dare you to try. Well, I took a little break. Maybe you knew that. I didn't do any live shows for a couple of weeks. I needed a little break, and I've been back and forth from south to north. Oh, I'm a poet and didn't know it for quite a few months, and I've been doing that probably for a little over a year now for various life adjustment reasons. And I was just back in the place I now call home, and that's Texas, for a few weeks. And you know what? I flew out there, but I drove all the way back up north over the highways and byways to land right back here in my old stomping grounds and what is now a temporary move back to Wisconsin. It was a long drive, but it actually it felt pretty fast. I really enjoyed it. A friend of mine asked me, "Don't you wish you had somebody to talk to?" And I chuckled. I said, "I honestly never thought about that." Then I thought about it again, and I told her I talked to Jesus, and I talked to Kirk Franklin, and I talked to Yolanda Adams, and B.B. and C.C. Winans, and others, and Luther Vandross all along the way. So I was in great company. Those drives are very therapeutic for me, no distractions, and typically, I'm not at all encumbered with some of the various norms that can occur in environments outside of your vehicle. I thought it was pretty cool, if you ask me. I was rolling. Anyway, speaking of things therapeutic, things important to our inner harmony and well-being, my guest today is Jamie Lerner, an expert on those subjects, and she's going to share with us today what the whole concept being means to her and all of us and how we can achieve the harmony we need in our lives. I want you to welcome to the Foxology stage the author of The Ever-Loving Essence of You, Jamie Lerner. I'm so excited to have you, Jamie. Happy Wednesday.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on the show.
Well, I'm excited. I'm always excited about most things that I do, but I really do love doing this show. So thank you so much for being a part of it today. I'm looking forward to the things that you have to share with everybody. I know you've got this great book out, The Ever-Living Essence of You, and I know you do some coaching and speaking, and, you know, that's what your whole life and world are all about. But I always ask everyone to tell us a little bit about their backstory. So would you share that for us and how all of this came to being?
Sure. Well, I was born with a knowing, which I think we all are. I think we all are born with a knowing of who we are and the connection with ourselves. And along the way, I experienced lots of wonderful contrast. And I really believe that it is the contrast that allows us to determine our desires, what we are wanting for ourselves. And I was trained as a psychotherapist. However, I never really felt like that was helping people move to where they wanted to be or to go, as it kept us really back where we were. And so I kind of switched things up for myself, and now I have a practice called the Integrative Approach to Well-Being, and I just help people help themselves get from where they are to where they really would like to be. And it's a really fun, gentle process that for a lot of people, it comes very naturally when we remind people that, in fact, they really do know for themselves. And the thing I'd like to say is that I am not an expert on anything. I have really achieved a wonderful way of being, and I teach through my living, breathing example of being and remaining very connected to myself. But I really think that we are all our own personal experts for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And
I agree with you. Go ahead, Jamie.
Oh, no, go ahead. I just think it's wonderful when we can tap back into that for ourselves.
Yes, and I do totally agree with you that there are so many ways to find answers, and often we don't have to go any further than our own face. You said something interesting I'd like for you to share about your background as a psychotherapist versus the new integrative approach you take to helping people, because I think psychotherapy is an interesting science. I think that it offers a great deal of understanding on levels that most of us don't experience on a daily basis, because it is meant to be a therapy. A lot of us don't understand the process of thinking, our mind skills and all of that, and how deeply we're affected by environment and things we may not even consciously remember and things like that. So as a science of trying to understand ourselves, I think it's a pretty cool thing. But I also think it's a pretty cool thing how you have expanded the script on that to do what you're doing, because perhaps the whole analytical approach didn't provide the right answers for the people that you spoke with. And I'm saying a lot. I do have how they say it's dangerous to have a little knowledge about something, and I just happen to. But I would like for you to speak to that, because I'm always trying to open up great understanding for people, because I'm sure there are people who still do see psychotherapists. And contrasted with your approach, what was it about psychotherapy that you feel wasn't bringing about the exact results that you wanted to see?
Well, I think that when we are engaging with our clients in a way that we're constantly asking them to look back, it makes it almost impossible for them to begin to even understand what they're wanting in their now. And then from this moment moving forward, and what I found is that if we can take a little bit of that understanding of what happened way back when, and we can see it through the lens of our now perspective, that can be helpful. So how can we look at what happened back then from where we are right now in our adult perspective? Because from our now, that looks and feels very different. And the most important thing for us is to embrace where we are right now. So how can I bring that understanding of where I am right now and understand maybe why I have some patterns that I've picked up along the way from things that happened when I was very little, or things that even happened 2 years ago. But to really use it in our place of right here, right now, then we're able to get an understanding of where we are right now, and from that, what do we want for ourselves? And that's a huge question. You know, I ask people all day long what they want, and they tell me all day long what they don't want. And I say, but what do you want? And that gets to be a little tricky for people. But once we step into our now, where we are right in this moment, then it becomes a little easier to kind of feel around and get curious about, hey, you know, what is it that I want moving forward? So I think there are only two reasons to look back. And one of them is to look back on something that felt really good and to revisit that all the time. And then the other reason to look back is to look back so that we can identify whatever that vibrational residue that we dragged along the way. And then how can we work with it just a little bit to turn it into something productive for us in moving forward. And that's it.
You know, I want to ask this question because, again, I want some clarity for listeners. We have been made to understand that things that have happened to us, things that we've experienced, and as you said, 2 years ago or childhood or 2 hours ago, they leave a type of emotional groove in our mind or thinking. And it isn't your process. I love it. I love how you explained it, and I think it's a wonderful way to approach things. But I also know there are, like you, tremendously difficult things that people have experienced that are not easy to shake or easy to say, oh, well, that was that and this is now. So when we talk about those emotional grooves, those memories, can you speak to what that process may be like for time span or how much self-therapy do we need to do to get to a point where place in our living daily life?
We need permission. We need permission to let that go and to understand it from our place of where we are now. So if we were, let's say, had some traumatic experience when we were very young, if we were sexually abused, or which is an awful thing to understand as a child. But then here we are as an adult. And how can we understand what happened then, right now, as an adult, from our adult perspective, as a grown-up person? And that feels really different. But when we ask an adult to go back and relive that as we were as a child, then we're reliving trauma over and over again, which really, there's nothing productive about that. There's absolutely no reason to go back and to experience that over and over again, because that has really nothing to do with who we are right now and where we're going. Now, could we experience it as an adult and see that that was really a strength? We could use it as a way to say, wow, what happened to me when it did, and I understand it now, and it's amazing how strong I am now. It's amazing how I really am trusting myself now. It's amazing how I really understand that now in a powerful way so that I can move forward and be very proactive in creating the next relationship for myself with the understanding of what happened then as I am as an adult. And that feels
I think what I hear you
better.
saying, yes, I think what I hear you saying is that when we can come to an understanding, the key word, understanding, and realize that whatever has happened, regardless of the severity of it or the difficulty, the challenge, the greatness of it, we don't have to let that limit or damage our now and going forward.
No.
And I think that might be the key to anyone who may be struggling with events of the past to realize it truly, in all legitimacy and honesty, does not have to limit or damage whatever is going forward. That part we can take.
Or label us, because people tend to label themselves or get labeled, even the label of being sexually abused. I don't like that label. I think it really, is difficult for people when they hang on to that kind of a label. It doesn't allow them to move out of that into something that feels a lot better. So that's also one of the downfalls for psychotherapy. There's a lot of labels that go with it. Depression, just all of these negative things that we begin to attach to ourselves, and then we feel paralyzed. We don't feel like we're freed up to move forward and to think about what would be next for ourselves. So I think that there's other ways to really help ourselves and free ourselves in creating just a wonderful understanding and ongoing connection with who we are and where we want to go with that. And, the sky is the limit.
For sure it is. Jamie, you've written The Ever-Loving Essence of You. Talk about the book and how it's helping people.
Well, The Ever-Loving Essence of You is really a reminder to people of how to create a long-term connected relationship with themselves. And there's just a lot of little tools in there and suggestions for people so that they can reconnect with the part of themselves that really they know so well. But, contrast and day-to-day situations kind of move us away from ourselves a bit. So these are gentle reminders of how we can nourish ourselves, things about self-care, like spending a few minutes in the morning quietly with yourself, things about how to remember to appreciate ourselves, moment by moment. And these are just ways to reconnect with our inner knowing and our inner being. And truly, we cannot go on and create other long-term relationships with other people until we have created this love affair with ourselves. And there's so much to love about ourselves. It's truly amazing. We're always looking for something outside of ourselves, someone to love us. But truly, we must start with ourselves. So I think this book is just a lot of information. Yeah, and a lot of it people already know. So it's just reminders, daily reminders.
Yes.
That's all.
Yes. Well, it's certainly a great thing. I don't know that it could be repeated too many times, and whatever writers or radio hosts or TV commentators, all of that. I don't know that it could be repeated too much because it's too real and it's too necessary, I think, in the lives of most of us. I can remember back in the day when, I got up in the morning, I was already in my mind, addressing 10 other things without even taking a moment to think about right here, right now, in this minute. My mind was on the 10 other things that needed to be addressed, literally an impossibility of being in a place of balance and harmony when you bounce out of bed like that, because your energy is already, you're already getting things done in your head that you haven't even started doing yet. It's an interesting process, but I don't live like that anymore on any given day. One of the first things is what I do is what you said, and that's that I have to make sure that I'm anchored for the day. I'm not ready for anything until I get into that place. And it means being quiet. It means just talking with yourself and talking with God, for me, praying and just connecting with the things I know I have to do. But now what I do is I categorize it and I time slot it and I do lots of other things with it that help me be in a place where I feel a real comfy spot. And, you can go about your day a lot more strategically and confidently, and, you got to leave the space for knowing that stuff happens and, making adjustments. And so it's so important, the things that you're talking about, for getting that inner peace and then inner balance. And you really do learn that regardless of what comes at your day, you still can stay in that anchored spot because that's where you began.
Exactly. It's so true. And think of the message that you're actually sending to yourself when you put yourself first for the first few minutes of every day. You're sending the message that you're important and you're worthy and you're loved. And I think that then becomes the lens through which you can see everything else outside of yourself through this connected state.
Well, you mentioned something in your web material that I'd like for you to share because I think it lends itself to what you just talked about. Tell people about the Quickie.
Well, the Quickie came out of from a request from clients, and it's a lovely texting option. So sometimes people just need a few minutes to check back in with themselves, and they do that through texting with me. And it's amazing how often we really do know the answer ourselves, and yet we just need a moment to bounce it off of somebody in form of a question. So, yes, that's another wonderful service that I have. And so people buy time, and they end up texting with me, and usually they text me a question, and 9 times out of 10, they already know the answer to that question. And then I get back to them with really an answer that allows them to answer their own question for themselves. So it is, it's a wonderful way for people to reinforce to themselves that they really do know the answers for themselves. And
yeah, that's a wonderful tool.
Yeah, and it works great because people are busy, and most people, they just need a few minutes of reassurance. And so that's worked out really well as a service.
Yeah, great, wonderful opportunity to get affirmed what you may already be thinking. Since you mentioned that, Jamie, let's talk about so people can know exactly how you offer your services, because I know there are a few coaches that I've talked with on my show that offer this really neat opportunity to connect using technology as the portal, rather than, not rather than, but to complement the in-person types of sessions that they may have with individuals. It sounds like you're offering that as well as a way of being able to service the people who need what you have to offer. So let's explain to people how they can use your approach to well-being, the services you provide.
Okay. Well, first thing is people go to the website and they read through the website, and then they know immediately if they'd like to work with me or if they'd not like to work with me. And I really think it's important for people to know that you have a choice of who you work with, and you should shop around and find someone that really resonates with you. The second thing that's kind of different about the way I structured my sessions is that you have to take so much personal responsibility and really knowing how much time that you'd like to schedule with me, because people buy blocks of time. And then based on what they think they need, they reach out to me and schedule 15 minutes, 20 minutes, a half hour, whatever it is. But they need to really think about what they need as opposed to me telling them what they need. And then they schedule that time with me, and we usually work on the phone or over Skype or, if people are in the Chicago area and they need the contact, then I see them in person. But it's really amazing how much we can get done over a phone call or over a Skype call, and also through texting. The key is personal responsibility. You know what you need, and it's so wonderful, and it feels so good and so powerful to have that inner knowing, and then to be able to reach out and say, this is what I'm needing for myself today. So it works great.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. And when you say inner knowing, a big word pops into my head that I'd like for you to say something about if it does apply. But when you say inner knowing, for myself, I think of an element of trusting myself. Is that the same thing?
I think so, and I think you talk a lot about faith, and I think there is, faith is that inner knowing, but it's faith in yourself, because I have never heard anybody say I should not have trusted myself. But you hear people all the time say, I should have trusted myself. And it's just amazing, So we really do know for ourselves. We do.
Yes, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, we are getting down now to a few minutes before we have to wrap, Jamie. And I know we've talked about a lot of things, and I feel very much so that it was real helpful insight into the whole concept of well-being and making a connection with yourself. But I imagine there might be one or two key points that you want to be sure you share with people before we wrap. Would there be any particular 1, 2, 3, or one point or two that you would really like people to focus on? And then I'd like for you to tell them again how they can reach you.
Okay. The most important relationship that you will ever have is the one with yourself. That is the most important thing to remember. And you are so worthy of your own love. So worthy. So,
yes,
on that
for
note,
sure.
you can find my website at www.jamie-lerner.com. And I have tons of free stuff on there. So if you're just curious, check it out. And The Ever-Loving Essence of You, which is really a timeless book. It's available on Amazon. And it's a really sweet, very easy to read, very short book. So if you're interested. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm sure there will
It's been
be.
a wonderful conversation.
Indeed it has. Indeed it has. I was so excited to get you scheduled, Jamie, and I so enjoy the whole concept of fashion and style, and you certainly have a great flair with your pictures. I thought, wow, she's
Thank you.
Anytime you can post pictures in jeans and make it pop, I think you just really kind of got it going on as a girl,
Thank you very much.
Just thought I'd throw that in.
No, I appreciate it. I really do. Thank you.
Okay. Well, again, I want to thank you for being my special guest today, and keep up the great work. I am one of those people who knows how important it is to get in touch with ourselves and love ourselves and to really stay in the now and look very optimistically at the future. And I just sending you a pat on the back and say keep it up the good work for you and all the others who are trying to help people be their best selves. I appreciate you, and I'll be following what you do, and somewhere down the road we'll have you back on to talk about some of your next book. I'm sure that's coming out sometime before too long.
Thank you again.
All right. Have an amazing day.
You too.
And I want to thank all of you for joining in today and listening to the amazing Jamie Lerner and what she wants to teach us about our integrative approach to well-being. That was some really good stuff. So be sure you share with your friends and family on social media. Let them know that this show was great and that, well, all of the shows I do, I think, are great. There's a lot there for anyone to learn from, grow from, and get other things that you need to know about. So check it out when you have some time. Just go down the menu and see what's there, and please feel free to share it. I really do thank you for taking the time to be on board today and taking the time to listen. And I look forward to talking to you next time, sometime next week, with another really great show. Well, actually, Master Your Mindset is next week, so you know you want to tune in for that. In the meantime, make today great. Be good. Be blessed. Be awesome.